Lyra lived in a world woven from sound. Pie, not just the chirping of crickets or the distant call of a cockcrow, but something far deeper, far more intricate. Her home was Oak Haven, a village cradled in the Whispering Vale, where the ancient, colossal Oakhaven trees stood like silent, gnarled guardians, their leaves a perpetual symphony of rustles and sighs, even on the stillest days. To most, it was merely the wind playing through the foliage, a pleasant, soothing backdrop to life. To Lyra, it was the whispering. The whispering was a living breath, an ethereal hum that permeated the very air, the soil, the stones of the valley. It spoke in 1,000 subtle tongues, the gentle ah-shee of the sun-dappled leaves, the soft ee-thrum beneath her bare feet as she walked the mossy paths, the distant bell-like iding-dong from the crystal caves high in the sunstone peaks, when the morning dew caught the light just right. But beyond these discernible sounds, there was an underlying current, a faint, almost melodic murmur that only Lyra seemed to truly hear. It was a chorus of forgotten tales, of sleeping magic, of emotions held in the very fabric of the world. Lyra, with her wild bramble-brown hair and eyes the color of twilight pools, was often found perched on the lowest, most ancient branch of the great elder oak that stood at the edge of the village. From there she could tune into the whispering, letting its myriad voices wash over her. Sometimes it would tell her small secrets, where a lost ladybug had wandered, or that the first plum blossom of spring was about to unfurl on a particular branch, or even the faint worry in the heart of the village baker about his sourdough. These were simple whispers, easily understood. But at other times it would carry a deeper resonance, a longing, a question, a melody so profound it would make her chest ache with a forgotten sorrow, or swell with an unknown joy. The other children of Oakhaven, sturdy and practical, found Lyra a little odd. While they chased fireflies or played games of hide-and-seek among the tree-root houses, Lyra would often sit still, head tilted, a faint smile on her lips, listening to something only she perceived. They'd call out to her, "Lyra, are you dreaming again?" And she would only nod, her gaze distant, lost in the world's soft, insistent song. They weren't unkind, simply uncomprehending. Their world was solid, tangible. Lyra's was fluid, resonant. Her own home was a cozy hollow carved into the base of a particularly broad Oakhaven tree, its roots forming natural shelves and nooks. Her mother, a weaver of intricate tapestries, hummed melodies of her own as her shuttle danced through colorful threads, but even her mother's beautiful songs never quite matched the complexity Lyra heard in the whispering. Her father, a quiet woodcarver, listened to the grain of the wood, feeling its history beneath his calloused thumbs, but it was a different kind of listening, a different kind of voice. Only her grandmother Alara seemed to understand. Grandmother Alara lived in the oldest, highest treehouse in Oakhaven, accessible by a spiraling vine ladder and a series of sturdy wooden bridges that swayed gently in the breeze. She had eyes like polished river stones, ancient and knowing, and a smile that seemed to hold all the warmth of a summer's day. When Lyra visited, Grandmother Alara would often offer her a cup of warm moon-petal tea and simply watch her, her gaze unblinking. "What does it tell you today, little ear?" Alara would ask, her voice like the rustle of dry leaves. Lyra would describe the day's symphony. "The river is singing a rushing song today, Grandmother, for the rain is coming. And the moss on the north side of the elder tree is whispering of a tiny blue beetle that needs help finding its way home. And there's a new melody, a soft hum-ma, like a sleeping giant from beyond the whispering peaks." Grandmother Ilara would nod slowly, her smile deepening. "The world speaks, Lyra, always. Most have simply forgotten how to listen with their hearts. You, my dear, have ears that remember." Lyra cherished these moments with her grandmother, for Ilara never dismissed her gifts, never told her she was imagining things. Instead, she nurtured Lyra's sensitivity, teaching her to distinguish between the superficial sounds and the deeper currents of the whispering. She taught Lyra that the whispering was not just sound, but information, emotion, even memory. It was the world's consciousness, a delicate web of interwoven energies. "The whispering holds the collective memory of the Vale," Ilara had once explained, tracing a pattern on Lyra's palm. "Every fallen leaf, every blossoming flower, every creature's joy and sorrow. It all leaves an echo in the great song." Sometimes, if you listen deeply enough, you can hear the echoes of things long past, or hints of things yet to come. For Lyra, this was not a burden, but a gift. She felt utterly connected to her world, a part of its breathing, pulsating heart. She could soothe a frightened forest creature just by humming a melody she'd picked up from the wind, or find the sweetest berries by following a faint, sugary whisper from the bushes. Her life was a constant dance with the world's unspoken language. But lately, the whispering had begun to change. It started subtly, a barely perceptible shift, like a single discordant note in a familiar melody. The usual gentle hum of the valley began to carry an undertone of urgency. It wasn't loud, not yet, but it was insistent. The soft shah of the oak haven leaves sometimes sounded less like a sigh and more like a restless fidget. The guy thrumming beneath her feet felt less like a steady heartbeat and more like a quickening pulse. Lyra would spend hours trying to decipher this new current. She'd climb higher into the great elder oak, her fingers tracing the rough bark, listening with every fiber of her being. The usual comforting cacophony of small whispers was still there, but beneath it, a new singular voice was beginning to emerge. It was a low, resonant woo-woo hum, like a giant ancient bell rung deep beneath the earth, its vibrations traveling up through the roots of the trees and into the very air she breathed. It wasn't a frightening sound, not exactly, but it was different. It carried a weight, a sense of something profound stirring, something that had been dormant for a very long time. It felt like a question, a call, a summoning. One crisp autumn morning, as the leaves turned to fiery golds and deep crimsons, the whispering intensified. Lyra was helping her mother collect fallen leaves for composting, her hands stained with earthy hues. Suddenly, the yoo-woo hum swelled. It wasn't just an undertone anymore, it was a prominent voice, rising above the usual valley sounds. It felt as if the entire vale was holding its breath, waiting. Lyra dropped her basket, her eyes wide. "Mother, do you hear it?" Her mother paused, cocking her head. "Hear what, dear? The wind picking up? It sounds like a good day for weaving a storm cloak." She smiled, oblivious. Lyra shook her head, a tremor running through her. "No, mother, not the wind. The whispering. It's calling." Her mother's smile softened. "You and your whispering, Lyra. Perhaps it's just the autumn telling the trees to shed their leaves." She patted Lyra's head gently. "Don't fret, little bird. It's just the season turning." But Lyra knew it was more. She could feel the vibrations in her bones, the insistent pull in her chest. The sound was no longer generalized. It seemed to be coming from a specific direction, from the deepest part of the Whispering Woods, the ancient, untamed forest that lay beyond the familiar paths of Oakhaven. Few ventured there, for tales spoke of ancient magic and forgotten spirits. But the whispering was calling from there, unmistakably. She spent the rest of the day in a state of quiet agitation. The constant yoo-woo hum throbbed in her ears, a relentless, gentle summons. It was both alluring and unsettling. By evening, when the stars began to pinprick the velvet sky and the soft glowworms emerged to light the paths, Lyra knew she had to speak to grandmother Ilara. She climbed the swaying vine ladder, her heart thumping a rhythm that echoed the whispering. When she reached Ilara's cozy treehouse, filled with the scent of dried herbs and old books, her grandmother was already waiting, her eyes twinkling. "I felt you coming, little one," Ilara said, gesturing to a cushion by the fire. "And I feel the change in the air too." Lyra sat, relieved to find someone who understood. "Grandmother, it's different. It's not just the everyday whispering anymore. There's a new voice, a deep, resonant hum, and it's calling from the Whispering Woods." Ilara's expression grew serious, her smile fading slightly. "Ah, so it begins." Lyra leaned forward. "What begins, grandmother? What is it?" Ilara took a deep breath, her gaze distant, as if looking through the walls of her home and into the very heart of the vale. "The deep hum you hear, Lyra, is not just a sound. It is a presence, an awakening. For many ages, the heart of our world, the very essence of the whispering itself, has been slumbering. It lies deep within the roots of the world, a place known only in whispers and legends, guarded by the oldest of magics. The heart of the whispering." Lyra breathed, her imagination soaring. What is it? No. It is the first sound, Elara explained, her voice low and rich. The song that brought our world into being, the source of all magic, all life, all memory in this vale. It is the great whisperer, the primeval consciousness that flows through all things, and it is stirring. But why now? Lyra asked, 1,000 questions bubbling to the surface. Why has it woken? That, little one, is the mystery, Elara said, her eyes meeting Lyra's. The whispering usually slumbers peacefully, nourishing the world from its deep sleep. For it to stir, for it to colloy, something must be out of balance, something has disturbed its long rest, or perhaps something is needed. A shiver ran down Lyra's spine, but it wasn't from fear. It was from a potent mix of awe and a dawning sense of purpose. It feels like it's calling to AMA, she admitted, her voice barely a whisper. More and more it feels like it's guiding me towards the woods. Elara nodded slowly. I believe it is. You, Lyra, are the truest ear in this vale. Your connection to the whispering is pure, unburdened by the practicalities that deafen most others. You are meant to hear its call, and perhaps to answer it. Lyra's heart hammered. The Whispering Woods. The place of old tales and deeper magic. It was a place her parents had always warned her away from, a place of shadows and unknown dangers. Yet, the hum was so clear now, so compelling. It felt less like a warning, and more like a promise. What should I do? Lyra asked, her voice small but firm. Grandmother Elara reached out and took Lyra's hands, her touch warm and reassuring. You must follow the whispering, Lyra. You must listen with every fiber of your being and let it guide you. It will show you the way. The heart of the whispering has stirred, and it seeks something or someone. And I believe that someone might be you, or that you are meant to find what it seeks. Lyra felt a surge of courage. The thought of venturing alone into the Whispering Woods was daunting, but the pull of the ancient hum was stronger. It was like a melody she had to finish, a story she had to hear to its end. But what will I find there? She asked, her gaze fixed on her grandmother's knowing eyes. Elara smiled, a faint enigmatic curve of her lips. That, Lyra, is for the whispering to tell you. But remember this, the heart of the world beats for a reason, and its awakening is never without consequence. Take this. Elara reached into a small pouch at her waist and pulled out a small, smooth stone, the color of twilight and threaded with faint silver veins that seemed to glow in the firelight. It is a moonstone fragment, fallen from the crystal caves. It will amplify your listening, protect your steps, and always guide you back to the true path of the whispering. It listens as you do. Lyra carefully took the stone. It was cool and smooth against her skin, and as she held it, she felt an immediate deepening of the whispering, as if a veil had been lifted. The yo-woo hum became clearer, more vibrant, almost a direct message to her soul. It was a plea, a melody of longing, and a beacon. Go with courage, little ear, Elara said, squeezing her hand. The world is waiting for you to listen. Lyra spent the rest of the night packing a small satchel with dried berries, a water skin and a blanket. She slipped out of her home before dawn, leaving a note for her parents that she was going on an adventure, promising to be back soon. The village was still asleep, bathed in the gentle, silvery light of the fading moon. The air was cool and crisp, and the oak-haven trees stood like silent sentinels. As she reached the edge of the familiar village path and gazed towards the dark, looming expanse of the Whispering Woods, the hum grew stronger still, a clear, resonant call. It was a sound that had been waiting for her, a path that had only just begun to reveal itself. With the moonstone clutched in her hand and the ancient song echoing in her heart, Lyra stepped into the shadows of the Whispering Woods, ready to answer the world's oldest call. The Whispering Woods lived up to its name. As Lyra's boot met the moss-cushioned earth beneath the first towering canopy, 1,000 tiny voices seemed to stir, a chorus of rustling leaves, creaking branches, and the soft, almost imperceptible scuttling of unseen creatures. Moonlight, usually a benevolent guide, struggled to pierce the dense ancient foliage, scattering into fractured silver shards that danced on the forest floor, painting the world in shades of charcoal and deep emerald. The air itself was different here, thicker, imbued with the scent of damp earth, rich loam, and something else, a sweet, almost metallic fragrance that spoke of untold ages and forgotten magic. It was exhilarating and a little overwhelming. Lyra clutched the moonstone tighter. Its cool surface pulsed with a soft, ethereal luminescence, casting a pale, milky glow that seemed to push back the encroaching shadows around her immediate path. And the hum. Oh, the hum. It was no longer a distant whisper, but a vibrant, resonant thrum that vibrated through her bones, a living melody woven into the very fabric of the woods. It rose and fell, not just in volume, but in pitch and complexity, like a wordless song sung by the forest itself. It pulled her forward, an invisible thread tugging at her heart, an undeniable current drawing her deeper into the green labyrinth. Her initial steps were tentative, each sound magnified in the profound stillness. But soon, a quiet confidence began to bloom within her. This wasn't a place of fear, not truly. It was a place of power, of ancient secrets, and she, Lyra, was being called to them. The trees here were unlike any she had known in Oakhaven. Their trunks were wider than 5 grown men standing shoulder to shoulder, their bark a tapestry of deep furrows, emerald moss, and shimmering lichens that seemed to glow with an inner light. Roots snaked across the path like slumbering serpents, forcing her to pick her way carefully. She noticed delicate, bell-shaped flowers that pulsed with a faint violet light, illuminating patches of the undergrowth. Ferns grew to immense heights, their fronds unfurling like the wings of mythical birds. The hum guided her, not along a clear path, for there was none, but through subtle shifts in the forest's energy. When she strayed, the hum would gently diminish, only to strengthen again as she corrected her course. It was as if the woods themselves were a living, breathing map, and the hum was its beating heart. Hours melted away, marked only by the shifting quality of the moonlight above, sometimes hidden entirely, sometimes breaking through in glorious silvery beams. Lyra felt no fatigue, only a growing sense of wonder and purpose. The ancient song in her heart, the one her grandmother had sung, began to intertwine with the hum of the woods, creating a harmonious symphony that resonated deep within her soul. It was a language without words, a story told in vibration and light. As she walked, she began to notice patterns. Certain trees seemed to lean in a particular direction, their gnarled branches forming arches. Stones, worn smooth by eons, were arranged in deliberate spirals or circles, partially swallowed by moss and earth. These weren't random formations. They were markers, traces of an ancient path, perhaps even a forgotten civilization that had once walked these very woods. The moonstone in her hand pulsed in time with the hum, its light intensifying slightly whenever she stepped onto one of these hidden markers. The air grew cooler, and a faint mist began to coil around the tree trunks, giving the forest an even more ethereal quality. Ahead the hum swelled to a glorious crescendo, a rich multi-layered chord that vibrated through her very bones. The pale light of the moonstone seemed to brighten, pushing back the mist to reveal a clearing. It wasn't an ordinary clearing. In its center stood a tree of colossal proportions, dwarfing all others, its trunk so wide it seemed to touch the sky. Its bark was not brown or gray, but a swirling mosaic of deep greens, blues and silvers, shimmering as if woven from starlight and moonlight itself. From its roots, which plunged deep into the earth, a faint, golden light emanated, pulsating gently. And clinging to its mighty trunk, half hidden by shimmering moss and ancient leaves, was a figure. It was large and stoic, covered in bark-like skin, and adorned with leaves and flowers that seemed to grow from its very being. Its eyes, when they slowly opened, were like pools of ancient amber, filled with an unimaginable depth of knowledge and a hint of weary patience. It was the guardian of the grove, and it looked as old as the whispering woods themselves. "Zoe," the little one answers the call, a voice rumbled, not from the figure's mouth, but from the very air around them, a deep resonant sound that echoed the hum of the woods. It was a voice that tasted of earth and time and rustling leaves. "Many ages have passed since one of your kind dared tread this far, Lyra of Oakhaven." Lyra felt a shiver not of fear but of profound reverence. You know my name," she whispered, her voice feeling impossibly small in the presence of such an ancient being. The amber eyes regarded her steadily. "Names are but whispers on the wind to the heart of the forest. But your song, child, it rings true, and the stone you bear, it remembers." The guardian's gaze flickered to the moonstone in her hand. The moonstone of Eldoria, A relic of the first weavers. You carry a heavy burden, little one. I don't understand, Lyra admitted, her gaze sweeping over the magnificent tree. What is this place? What is the call? The guardian slowly detached itself from the tree, moving with a ponderous grace that belied its size. It was taller than any tree in Oakhaven, its form a blend of humanoid and arboreal, moss and lichen clinging to its limbs like ancient garments. This is the Heartwood, where the oldest magic of these woods beats. And the call, child, is the world's oldest lament. A song of fading light, of encroaching shadow, of balance lost. It gestured with a gnarled hand towards the vast expanse of the woods behind Lyra. For generations, the magic of the world has slowly dimmed. The old ways forgotten, the ancient bonds broken. The veil between worlds thins, not from strength but from neglect. Whispers of discord grow louder, shadows lengthen even in the brightest noon. The world cries out for mending, for the reawakening of the true magic. Mending? Mending? Lyra echoed, a knot forming in her stomach. What kind of mending? The great weaving, child. The intricate tapestry of life and magic that binds all things. It frays, threads are cut, colors fade. The first weavers, those who first sang the world into being, left behind echoes of their power, nodes of magic scattered across the land. These nodes, these ancient power points, have slept too long. They must be reawakened, their song restored, to mend the veil and bring balance back. The guardian's voice was filled with a deep sorrow. And I am to do this? Lyra asked, her heart pounding. The sheer scale of it was overwhelming. She was just a girl from Oakhaven, not a legendary hero. You carry the Moonstone, child. It is not merely a beacon, but a key. It pulses with the pure, unadulterated magic of the moon, a resonance with the ancient song. And you, Lyra, you possess the song in your heart, passed down through generations. You are not a hero of legend. No. You are a bridge, a connection, a thread in the tapestry that can mend what is broken. The guardian stepped closer, its amber eyes piercing. The first weavers gifted their knowledge, their magic, to those who would listen. Your ancestors, it seems, were among the most attentive. My grandmother, she always sang of ancient trees and starlight. Lyra murmured, a sudden understanding dawning. She knew this day would come. She prepared you, even unknowingly. Now, the time for preparation is over. The first of these sleeping nodes lies deep within the Whispering Woods, at the confluence of 3 ancient ley lines, where the Whispering Stream begins its long journey to the sea. It has been dormant for centuries, its song muted. Your task, Lyra, is to find it and with the Moonstone, to reawaken its song. This will be but the first thread woven. The guardian extended a gnarled hand, its palm glowing faintly with golden light. A single, iridescent leaf, shimmering with all the colors of the rainbow, detached itself and floated towards Lyra. This is a leaf of Lumina. It will guide you, glowing brighter as you approach places of ancient magic. It will also offer protection for the woods, while welcoming, also hold their dangers. And remember, Lyra, the woods speak. Listen with more than your ears. Lyra carefully took the leaf of Lumina. It felt warm and vibrant in her palm, humming softly, a smaller echo of the wood's great song. How will I know the node? She asked. You will feel it. The Moonstone will sing, the hum will become a roar, and the leaf of Lumina will blaze like a small star. Trust your heart, child. It knows the way, for it holds the ancient song. With a nod, the guardian slowly reabsorbed itself into the Heartwood tree, its full melting back into the bark and moss, until only the faint golden light at the tree's base remained. The hum of the Heartwood settled back into a deep, comforting thrum. Lyra stood for a moment, absorbing the enormity of her task. Reawaken ancient magic. Mend the world? It was terrifying, but also exhilarating. The leaf of Lumina pulsed gently in her hand, pointing towards a new direction, deeper into the forest, where the mist seemed to hang even thicker, almost like a curtain. Taking a deep breath, Lyra turned and followed the gentle pull of the leaf. The ground beneath her feet began to slope downwards, and the air grew cooler still, carrying the faint, fresh scent of moving water. The trees here were different again, their bark smoother, their leaves a darker, almost blackish green. Strange glowing fungi dotted the forest floor, casting pools of soft alien light. The hum of the woods, while still ever present, began to shift. It mingled with a new sound, a gentle melodic murmur that grew steadily louder, the sound of flowing water. Soon, she found herself on the banks of a narrow stream, its waters so clear they seemed to disappear in the faint light, revealing a bed of smooth, multicolored pebbles. This was the Whispering Stream, its surface swirling with faint silver eddies that seemed to catch and hold the moonlight. As she knelt by its edge, the moonstone in her hand grew warmer, and the leaf of lumina pulsed with an excited tremor. The water itself seemed to be humming, a liquid song that blended perfectly with the forest symphony. And as she watched, a shimmering, translucent fish, no bigger than her thumb, darted past, leaving a trail of tiny, glowing motes in its wake. "The woods speak," she remembered the guardian saying. Lyra closed her eyes, and instead of listening with her ears, she listened with her heart, allowing the vibrations of the stream to wash over her. It wasn't just the sound of water, it was a cascade of soft, melodic whispers, like 1,000 tiny voices telling ancient tales. She couldn't make out words, not in any language she knew, but the feeling of the whispers was clear, a longing, a memory of greater power, a gentle plea for connection. She dipped her fingers into the cool water. Immediately, the moonstone flared brighter, and the ripples around her hand glowed with an intensified silver light. The whispers grew more coherent, less like murmurings, and more like a soft, echoing song. It was the ancient song, but tinged with sadness, like a melody half remembered. The leaf of lumina began to point directly into the stream, towards a cluster of smooth, dark rocks in the middle, where the water swirled with an unnatural luminescence. This had to be it. The first node. Carefully, Lyra waded into the icy stream, her boots sinking into the soft riverbed. The water swirled around her knees, tingling with an energetic coolness. The moonstone blazed, its light reflecting off the luminous water, making the stream glow as if from within. The hum of the woods, the whispers of the stream, and the song in her heart converged into a single, deafening crescendo. Reaching the cluster of rocks, Lyra saw that they weren't just rocks. They were part of a larger, submerged structure, hints of ancient carvings visible beneath the flowing water, obscured by centuries of silt and growth. In the very center, a single, smooth, obsidian-like stone, about the size of her fist, lay nestled. It was utterly dark, absorbing all light, yet around it, the water pulsed with an incredible, vibrant energy. She reached for it, her hand trembling slightly. As her fingers brushed its surface, the moonstone in her other hand pulsed violently, and a surge of pure, raw magic coursed through her arm, up to her shoulder, and spread through her entire being. It was like being struck by lightning made of starlight. The ancient song burst forth from her, not just in her heart, but echoing from her very lips, a wordless melody of power and longing. As the song escaped her, the obsidian stone began to glow from within, a deep, resonant sapphire blue, pulsing in time with her heart. The water around it erupted into a cascade of shimmering light, and the stream's whispers transformed into a triumphant chorus, a joyous celebration. The entire clearing was bathed in an ethereal, sapphire glow, reflecting off the dark leaves of the trees. Lyra felt a connection, a profound link forming between herself, the moonstone, and this newly awakened node. It was like plugging into the very heartbeat of the world. She could feel the ancient magic flowing through her, vibrant and alive, a current of pure, undiluted power. The sensation was overwhelming, yet utterly natural, like remembering a part of herself she had long forgotten. The sapphire light intensified, then began to spread, flowing down the whispering stream like a liquid aurora. The glowing fish darted through it, their trails brighter now. The fungi on the banks pulsed with renewed vigor, and the dark leaves of the trees seemed to shimmer with a new, vibrant life. As the magic settled, the sapphire glow softened, becoming a steady, gentle luminescence emanating from the obsidian node. The stream's song became a peaceful murmur, and the hum of the woods, while still powerful, was no longer overwhelming, but a comforting presence. Lyra stood, still breathing heavily, her body tingling with residual magic. She had done it. The first thread was rewoven. The world's oldest call, she realized, was not just a plea for help, but an invitation to dance with the very essence of existence. The moonstone, now warm and vibrant, felt less like a heavy burden and more like a trusted companion. She looked at the obsidian node, now glowing with a steady, deep blue light, a beacon of renewed magic. A sense of profound satisfaction filled her, but also an awareness of how much more there was to do. The Guardian had said this was just the first. As she waded back to the bank, the leaf of Lumina glowed softly in her hand, now pointing not along the stream, but towards a higher path, winding upwards through a part of the woods she hadn't yet explored. Through the parting mist, she could vaguely discern the outline of ancient craggy peaks, their summits shrouded in clouds that seemed to catch the distant starlight. The true journey, she knew, was only just beginning. With the leaf of Lumina held aloft, its soft glow painting the dew-kissed leaves in ethereal greens, Elara stepped onto the higher path. It was narrower than the stream bank, winding upwards through ancient whispering pines whose needles carpeted the ground in a fragrant springy layer. The air grew cooler, thinner, carrying the crisp scent of pine resin and damp stone. The mist, which had clung to the lower woods, now thinned and parted, revealing the true majesty of the peaks she had only vaguely seen before. They were not just distant shadows, but colossal giants of rock, their craggy faces scarred by time and weather, their summits piercing the star-dusted velvet of the night sky. The climb was immediate and demanding. The path steepened sharply, forcing Elara to use her hands to steady herself on gnarled roots and protruding rocks. Each step lifted her higher above the familiar forest floor, and with every upward gaze, the world below seemed to shrink, becoming a tapestry of dark greens and silver mist. The trees here were different too, more resilient, their branches thick and knotted, bearing the marks of countless winters. Lichen like ancient green beards hung from their limbs and patches of hardy moss clung to every available surface, glowing faintly under the starlight. As she ascended, the sounds of the stream faded, replaced by the soft sigh of the wind weaving through the pine needles, a sound like a lullaby hummed by the very mountains themselves. The leaf of Lumina continued to pulse gently, its light steady, reassuring. It felt like a small, warm heart beating in her palm, connecting her to the magic of this wild, untamed land. Hours passed, marked only by the slow arc of the moon across the sky and the increasing chill in the air. Elara's legs ached, and her breath came in short, sharp gasps, but a growing sense of exhilaration kept her moving. This was no longer a gentle stroll through familiar woods. This was an adventure, a true test of her spirit. She paused on a wide, flat rock that jutted out from the mountainside, offering a breathtaking view. Below, the forest spread out like a vast, dark blanket, punctuated by the occasional glimmer of starlight on the stream she had just left. The world felt immense, mysterious, and she felt a part of it, a tiny but vital thread in its grand design. As she caught her breath, she noticed something peculiar. The rocks around her, usually dull and gray, seemed to have faint, shimmering veins running through them, catching the distant starlight and reflecting it in tiny, silvery sparks. The mountain itself seemed alive, infused with a subtle, quiet magic. Just as she was about to push off, a small, gravelly cough startled her. Elara spun around, her hand tightening on the leaf of Lumina. Perched on a nearby rock, barely discernible from the mountain itself, was a small creature. It was no bigger than her hand, cobbled together from pebbles, moss, and tiny crystalline fragments that glittered like miniature stars. Two large, luminous eyes, the color of polished jade, blinked slowly from its mossy face. Another one, it grumbled, its voice like stones tumbling down a slope. Always climbing, never stopping to listen. Elara stared, wide-eyed. What are you? The creature huffed, a puff of mossy dust escaping its mouth. Name's Pebble, guardian of this particular stretch of rock, or rather, a grumble, I try to be. Too many noisy footsteps, too much chatter, disturbs the mountain's slumber. Pebble gestured with a tiny gnarled branch that served as an arm towards the vast silent peaks. I'm Elara, she said softly, remembering her manners. I didn't mean to disturb you, Pebble. I'm following the leaf of Lumina. It's leading me up the mountain. She held up the glowing leaf. Pebble's jade eyes fixated on the leaf, and a low rumbling sound, almost like a purr, emanated from its pebbled chest. Ah, the Lumina. That changes things. Not just any clumsy footstep then. You seek the heart of the mountain, do you? Elara frowned. The guardian I met by the stream said I had many tasks ahead. He said the leaf would guide me. It's pointing higher. Higher. Yes. Pebble nodded, its head a tiny moss-covered boulder. But not just any higher. The heart is not merely a place. It is a song, a memory, and it lies beyond the Whispering Pass. Pebble hopped down from its perch, its tiny stone feet making faint clicking sounds on the rock. Come. The sun will rise soon, and the mountain's secrets are best navigated by the quiet light of dawn. But first, a test of patience. The mountain does not give up its treasures easily. Elara followed Pebble, her curiosity outweighing her fatigue. The creature, despite its small size, moved with surprising agility, scampering over rocks and through narrow crevices that Elara had to squeeze through. It led her away from the main path, onto a barely visible trail that seemed to cling precariously to the mountain's face. They reached a small, sheltered alcove. Inside, a natural spring bubbled up from the rock, forming a crystal-clear pool. The water shimmered with the same faint internal light Elara had noticed in the rocks. Drink, Pebble instructed, pointing a twig-like finger at the pool. But do not rush. The mountain's water carries its wisdom. Let it settle. Elara knelt, cupping her hands and bringing the icy cold water to her lips. It tasted pure, invigorating, with a faint earthy sweetness she couldn't quite place. As she drank, she felt a subtle shift within her, a calming of her racing thoughts, a sharpening of her senses. She felt more attuned to the quiet thrum of the mountain around her. Good, Pebble observed. Now, the Whispering Pass. It lies just beyond this ridge. The wind there carries the mountain's oldest memories, its triumphs and its sorrows. It can disorient the mind, fill it with doubts, or tempt it with illusions. To pass through, you must find the true song amidst the echoes. As they approached the pass, Elara began to feel it. A low, resonant hum vibrated through the very rock beneath her feet, growing steadily louder. It was more than just wind. It was a symphony of faint, spectral voices, weaving in and out of each other, like countless distant conversations. The Whispering Pass was a narrow canyon, carved by aeons of wind and water, its walls rising hundreds of feet on either side, almost meeting overhead. The sky above was a thin, jagged ribbon of deep indigo, now tinged with the first blush of dawn. As Elara stepped into the pass, the whispers intensified. They swirled around her, a cacophony of sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. She heard faint laughter, like children playing in a meadow she'd never seen. She heard mournful cries, like the lament of a lost spirit. Voices called her name, sometimes sweetly, sometimes with a chilling urgency. Doubts she hadn't even realized she harbored began to surface. Are you truly strong enough? What if you fail? What if this journey leads nowhere? Kastani, one no way, mine, night be here. Her head began to spin, the various voices tugging at her attention, trying to pull her in different directions. The leaf of lumina in her hand flickered wildly, its light struggling against the oppressive gloom of the pass. Listen, Pebble chirped, its voice surprisingly clear amidst the din. Not to the distractions, not to the echoes. Listen for the heartbeat. Elara squeezed her eyes shut, trying to block out the overwhelming sensory input. She focused on her own breath, on the steady thrum of the leaf of lumina in her palm. The whispers pressed in, growing louder, more insistent. She felt a cold dread creeping into her heart, a fear that she would lose herself here, wandering forever in a maze of forgotten voices. Then she remembered the mountain water. The calm, clear taste, the sense of attunement. She opened her eyes, ignoring the flickering shadows and the swirling dust motes that seemed to dance with the whispers. She looked at the leaf of lumina. It was still struggling, but its light, though dim, was persistent. It seemed to be trying to point her towards something, not a direction, but a i.e. feeling. She took a deep breath, and another. She closed her mind to the distracting voices and focused on the deeper vibrations, the ones that had resonated in the rocks earlier. Below the chorus of whispers, a faint, steady rhythm began to emerge, like a slow, powerful drum. Thump thump, thump thump. It was the heartbeat Pebble had spoken of, the very pulse of the mountain. As she concentrated, the leaf of luminous light steadied, then began to glow with renewed vigor. It pulsed in time with the deep rhythm she was now perceiving. It wasn't a sound she heard with her ears, but one she felt in her bones, in the very core of her being. Elara started to walk, slowly, deliberately, her gaze fixed on the leaf. Each step was guided by that internal rhythm, that steady pulse. The distracting whispers still swirled, trying to pull her off course, but now they seemed distant, less real. She walked through them, a focused beacon of determination amidst the ancient sorrow and forgotten joys of the mountain. She walked for what felt like an eternity, but was probably only a short while. The rhythmic pulse grew stronger, clearer, guiding her forward until the canyon walls began to recede, opening into a breathtaking cavern. The cavern was vast, its ceiling arching high above, studded with countless sparkling crystals that caught the faintest hint of dawn light, filtering from the pass, scattering it into a million shimmering rainbows. In the very center of this immense space stood something truly magnificent, unwind. It was a giant crystal, taller than Elara herself, glowing with an internal light so pure and vibrant, it seemed to hum with life. It wasn't a static glow, it pulsed, a gentle rhythmic throb of light that echoed the very heartbeat she had followed through the pass. Its facets were perfectly formed, reflecting the entire cavern in miniature, creating an illusion of infinite depth and wonder. This was the heart of the mountain. Pebble, who had followed quietly, clambered onto Elara's shoulder. "You found it," it whispered, its voice filled with a rare reverence. "The true song. The mountain knows you now." Elara approached the crystal heart, feeling a warmth radiate from it that chased away the lingering chill of the pass. The leaf of Lumina in her hand blazed with joy, its light intertwining with the crystal's own glow. As she reached out a trembling hand, she felt an overwhelming sense of connection, of ancient wisdom and boundless energy. Her fingers brushed against the cool, smooth surface of the crystal. A jolt, not of pain but of pure, exhilarating energy, coursed through her. Images flooded her mind, the slow, grinding formation of the mountains, the patient growth of forests, the passage of countless seasons, the silent watch of the stars. She saw tiny creatures burrowing, great beasts roaming, and the first whispers of life stirring in the valleys below. It was the mountain's story, its memories, its very soul, shared with her in a single profound moment. When the vision receded, she felt different. Not just tired from the journey, but somehow expanded, more deeply rooted. She understood the mountain not just as a physical place, but as a living entity, a silent guardian of ancient magic. A small, perfectly formed crystal, no bigger than her thumb, detached itself from the heart of the mountain with a soft enchanting and floated gently into her open palm. It was a miniature replica of the Great Heart, pulsating with a soft, steady glow, a tangible piece of the mountain's essence. "A gift," Pebble murmured, nudging the small crystal with its twig arm. "The mountain accepts you. This will guide you when the leaf alone cannot see the path hidden within." Elara carefully tucked the tiny crystal into a small pouch she carried, feeling its gentle warmth against her skin. The leaf of Lumina, its task here complete, dimmed slightly, its light still steady, but now less urgent. She looked at Pebble, a rush of gratitude welling up inside her. "Thank you, Pebble. Thank you for guiding me." Pebble gave a rare, almost imperceptible nod. "Go now. The mountain has shared its secret. The sun rises over the eastern peaks, and the Lumina points to new horizons." Elara turned, following the direction of the leaf of Lumina, which now angled sharply towards an opening at the far end of the cavern, leading out onto the very summit of the mountain. She emerged into the glorious light of dawn. The sun, a fiery orb, was just cresting the highest peaks, painting the sky in hues of gold, rose, and lavender. Below, the world stretched out in a breathtaking panorama of rolling hills, dense forests, and in the far distance, a shimmering expanse that could only be a great lake or a vast river. The leaf of Lumina pulsed once more, now pointing not across the valley, but further, towards a cluster of ancient towering trees that stood sentinel on the distant shore of that shimmering expanse. Their leaves seemed to catch the first rays of sunlight with a peculiar, emerald brilliance, hinting at another realm of magic, another journey yet to begin. Elara took a deep breath, the crisp mountain air filling her lungs, and a smile touched her lips. The adventure had truly only just begun. Elara took a deep breath, the crisp mountain air filling her lungs, and a smile touched her lips. The adventure had truly only just begun. The leaf of Lumina, warm and vibrant in her palm, pulsed with an insistent rhythm, a gentle thrumming that echoed the beating of her own heart. Its light, no longer merely pointing, seemed to pull her forward, a silent emerald beacon. The distant trees, ancient and immense, shimmered like living jewels across the expanse of water that lay between her and their mysterious embrace. This was the Whispering Waters, a vast, mirror-like lake known for its deep secrets and the faint, tuneful murmurs that drifted from its surface on moonlit nights. There was no visible path, no bridge spanning the shimmering expanse. The shore was smooth, made of pebbles worn silken by centuries of gentle lapping waves. Elara knelt, dipping a hand into the cool, clear water. It felt alive, tingling with a faint energy that tickled her fingertips. As if in response to her touch, a ripple spread outwards, not from her hand but from the center of the lake, growing larger until it reached the shore directly before her. The ripples coalesced, gathering light, and slowly, impossibly, a boat began to form. It was unlike any boat she had ever seen. Woven from what looked like strands of moonlight and ancient willow branches, it had no oars, no sail. Its hull glowed with a soft inner luminescence, and its prow curved gracefully upwards, shaped like the head of a sleeping swan. Two small glowing platforms emerged from the water, inviting her to step aboard. With a sense of wonder that made her breath catch, Elara carefully stepped onto the ethereal craft. The moment her weight settled, the platforms dissolved back into the water, and the boat began to glide silently forward. It moved without a sound, leaving no wake, as if it were a dream sailing across a dream. The leaf of Lumina glowed brighter, casting emerald hues upon the water, which in turn reflected the light back, creating a dazzling dance of green and silver beneath the boat. As they moved further from the shore, the air grew thicker, heavy with the scent of water lilies, and something else, something ancient and sweet, like moss and forgotten stories. A gentle mist began to rise from the surface of the Whispering Waters, swirling around the boat like playful spirits. It wasn't a cold mist, but warm and comforting, yet it gradually obscured the shores, making her feel as if she were floating in an endless shimmering void. Then, the whispers began. Soft at first, like the rustling of leaves or the hum of distant bees, they grew clearer, forming fragments of words, snatches of half-forgotten melodies. The Whispering Waters, true to its name, was sharing its memories. Elara listened, captivated. She heard tales of ancient creatures that swam in its depths, of starlit rituals performed on its shores, of lovers' promises whispered across its surface. Suddenly, the mist thickened, coalescing into shapes just beyond the boat. They weren't solid, but shimmering, translucent forms, reflections of her own thoughts perhaps, or echoes of the lake's deeper magic. She saw fleeting images of her childhood home, a moment of fear when she'd first left the safety of her village, a pang of doubt about her quest. The mist seemed to be testing her, reflecting her inner landscape. Elara clutched the leaf of Lumina tighter. Its warmth spread through her hand, a steady anchor in the sea of illusions. She closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the feeling of the mountain wind on her face, the quiet determination that had brought her this far. This journey wasn't about looking back or dwelling on fears, but about moving forward, with an open heart and a brave spirit. When she opened her eyes again, the illusions began to dissipate. The mist thinned, revealing the unwavering glow of the leaf of Lumina, still pointing directly ahead. The boat continued its silent journey, guided by an unseen force. She realized the lake wasn't trying to trick her, but to understand her, to see if her heart was true. And by facing her own reflections, she had passed its gentle test. Slowly, imperceptibly, the shimmering expanse began to narrow. The mist finally parted, revealing the opposite shore. And there they were, towering above everything, the ancient trees. They were even more magnificent up close than they had appeared from the valley. Their trunks, wider than any house, were gnarled and covered in moss that glowed with an internal, soft green light. Their branches, thick as lesser trees, reached towards the sky, forming a dense emerald canopy that seemed to hold up the very heavens. The boat of moonlight and willow branches dissolved as gently as it had formed, leaving Elara standing on a shore of soft emerald green moss. The air here was different again, cool and moist, smelling of damp earth, rich bark, and a faint sweet perfume she couldn't quite place. Sunlight, fragmented into shimmering emerald shards, dappled through the impossibly thick canopy, creating an otherworldly glow. This was the emerald wood canopy, a forest unlike any other. The leaf of Lumina pulsed with renewed vigor, pulling her deeper into the labyrinthine embrace of the colossal trees. Their roots, massive and intricate, snaked across the forest floor like slumbering giants, some forming natural archways, others rising into smooth, moss-covered platforms. Luminous fungi dotted the bark and forest floor, casting pools of soft, milky light that pulsed gently, like slow heartbeats. As Elara stepped beneath the first colossal archway of roots, a profound silence enveloped her, broken only by the gentle drip of moisture from the canopy and a faint, melodious hum that seemed to emanate from the very wood of the trees. It was a living silence, full of ancient wisdom and watchful presence. She followed the leaf, winding her way through pathways that twisted and turned, sometimes leading her over massive roots that served as bridges, sometimes into hollows within the trunks themselves, where the air was thick with the scent of old wood and the light was a deeper, richer green. She noticed tiny, iridescent sprites flitting among the glowing moss, their wings beating too fast to clearly see, leaving trails of golden dust in their wake. Gentle, curious eyes belonging to unseen creatures seemed to watch her from the shadows between the roots. After what felt like hours of walking through this living cathedral, the leaf of Lumina began to point upwards. Elara looked around, wondering how she could possibly ascend. The tree trunks were sheer, immense columns, their lowest branches impossibly high above. But then, she noticed, spiraling around one particularly enormous tree, a staircase of glowing translucent crystal had materialized, winding its way upwards into the emerald depths of the canopy. Hesitantly, Elara placed her foot on the first step. It was solid and cool beneath her boot, humming faintly with magic. As she ascended, the view changed dramatically. She was no longer walking through the forest, but into it, becoming a part of its majestic architecture. The branches, now at eye level, were vast platforms covered in soft, springy moss and adorned with hanging gardens of luminous orchids. The air here was even sweeter, filled with the perfume of thousands of unseen blossoms. She climbed higher, the light growing softer and more diffused as she moved further into the canopy. The crystalline staircase seemed to merge seamlessly with the ancient wood, becoming part of the tree itself. After a long ascent, she emerged onto a vast flat platform formed by the convergence of several colossal branches. This was not merely a platform, it was a sprawling, multi-tiered village, woven entirely from living wood and luminous vines. Here, the inhabitants of the emerald wood canopy lived. Elara saw figures moving gracefully among the glowing structures, beings with bark-like skin and hair like flowing leaves, their eyes deep pools of forest green. They were the dryads, the guardians and tenders of the ancient trees. They moved with a quiet dignity, their movements as fluid as the rustle of leaves in a gentle breeze. As she stepped onto the platform, a group of dryads turned, their luminous eyes fixed upon her. There was no alarm, only a profound, ancient curiosity. One of them, taller and more regal than the others, with hair like cascading willow branches and eyes that held the wisdom of centuries, stepped forward. She wore a circlet of glowing emerald leaves upon her brow. "Greetings, wanderer." The dryad's voice was like the gentle murmur of wind through leaves, soft yet resonant. "We have felt your approach, guided by the light. You carry the leaf of Lumina." Elara nodded, holding up the glowing leaf. "I am Elara. The leaf has led me here to the heart of the emerald wood. It pulses with a purpose I do not yet fully understand, but I feel it is urgent." The elder dryad's expression softened, a hint of ancient sorrow touching her features. "Indeed, it is urgent. The leaf of Lumina seeks the heart bloom, the very source of our valley's vibrancy, the light that nourishes not only our trees, but the spirits of all creatures within its embrace. For generations, the heart bloom has dimmed. Its light, once a radiant sun, is now but a flickering ember." "Why has it dimmed?" Elara asked, her heart sinking. "It feeds on wonder, on gratitude, on the joy that flows from a heart connected to the world," the dryad explained, her gaze sweeping across the luminous village. "For a long time the people of the valley below have grown distant. They have taken the magic for granted, their gaze fixed on earthly matters, their hearts forgetting the simple joy of a starlit night or the miracle of a blooming flower. The heart bloom, starved of this vital essence, wanes. And the leaf of Lumina, it brought me here to help it." "You carry a pure heart, Elara. one still filled with wonder and courage. The leaf sensed this. It has chosen you to rekindle the heart bloom, to remind it of the beauty and connection that still exist. The dryad gestured towards a pathway that branched off the main platform, leading deeper into the highest reaches of the ancient tree. Follow the leaf. It will lead you to the heart bloom's resting place. But know this, to reignite its light, you must offer more than just your presence. You must offer a part of your own spirit, a memory of pure, unblemished joy and gratitude, strong enough to awaken its slumbering brilliance. With a renewed sense of purpose and a tremor of apprehension, Elara nodded her thanks and continued her ascent. The crystalline pathway now led her not upwards but inwards, curving gently into the very core of the colossal tree. The light grew softer still, tinged with a delicate gold, and the air hummed with an almost palpable energy. Finally, the path opened into a vast, circular chamber within the heart of the tree. The walls were smooth, polished wood, imbued with a soft, warm glow. In the very center of the chamber, nestled within a bed of shimmering, iridescent moss, lay the heart bloom. It was unlike any flower Elara had ever imagined. Its petals were spun from pure light, delicate and translucent, yet they pulsed with a faint, silvery luminescence. It was beautiful, but undeniably fragile, its light barely strong enough to illuminate the chamber. Around it, the air felt heavy with a profound sadness, a silent plea for renewal. As Elara approached, the leaf of Lumina vibrated intensely in her hand, its emerald glow merging with the faint silver of the heart bloom. She felt a deep connection between the two, as if they were long-lost siblings, finally reunited. Before she could reach out, a figure emerged from the shadows at the far end of the chamber. It was a creature of immense grace and ancient power. Its form shimmered, shifting between that of a majestic stag, crowned with antlers that seemed woven from starlight and polished wood, and a towering slender figure with eyes like deep forest pools. This was the spirit of the emerald wood, the ultimate guardian of the heart bloom. Its voice, when it spoke, was a deep, resonant hum that vibrated through the very wood of the chamber, a sound like rustling leaves and flowing rivers combined. So the leaf has chosen. You are Elara, the one who brings hope. Elara felt a profound sense of reverence. I have come to help the heart bloom. The dryad told me I must offer a part of my spirit. The spirit of the emerald wood gazed at her with eyes that held the wisdom of millennia. The wisdom of millennia. Indeed, the heart bloom does not need a mere touch, but a spark of pure, unburdened emotion. It needs to be reminded of the joy it once inspired, the gratitude it once received. What will you offer, child of the valley? Elara thought hard. What was the purest joy she had experienced on this journey? Was it the wonder of seeing the fireflies of Flickerwing Peak? The courage she found crossing the whispering waters? Or the quiet awe of the emerald wood canopy? It was all of it, she realized. It was the thrill of discovery, the quiet gratitude for the beauty of the world, the sheer wonder of magic unfolding around her. It was the feeling of her heart expanding with every new sight, every challenge overcome. It was the realization that the world was far more magical than she had ever dared to dream. She closed her eyes, holding the leaf of Lumina to her chest. She remembered the first glimmer of the leaf, the crisp mountain air, the fireflies dancing, the boat on the whispering waters, the luminous fungi, the wise dryads. She let a wave of pure, unadulterated wonder and gratitude wash over her, not just for the journey, but for the very existence of such beauty. She remembered the warmth of her own heart, beating strong and true. Then, she began to sing. It wasn't a song she had learned, but one that flowed from her heart, a melody of pure, simple joy and profound appreciation. Her voice, gentle at first, filled the chamber, weaving a tapestry of sound that spoke of starlit nights, of towering trees, of shimmering waters, and of the precious, fragile light that animated it all. She sang of the courage it took to seek, and the wonder it brought to find. As her song filled the chamber, something extraordinary began to happen. The leaf of Lumina glowed with an intensity she had never seen, its emerald light pulsing in perfect synchronicity with her heartbeat. The faint, silvery petals of the heart bloom began to unfurl, slowly, majestically, as if waking from a long slumber. The air around it shimmered, and the subtle golden light within the chamber grew brighter, chasing away the shadows. A wave of warmth, gentle and profound, emanated from the heart bloom, washing over Elara. She felt a deep, peaceful connection, as if the heart bloom was responding directly to her song, drinking in the pure emotion she offered. The sadness that had hung heavy in the air lifted, replaced by a feeling of boundless hope and renewed life. The heart bloom's light intensified, growing from a flicker to a steady glow, then to a radiant, golden pulse. Its petals, now fully open, revealed a core of pure shimmering starlight, vibrant and strong. The light poured from the flower, spreading outwards, first filling the chamber, then flowing through the very veins of the ancient tree, illuminating the intricate root systems and the vast canopy above. The spirit of the emerald wood, which had been watching silently, now bowed its head in a gesture of deep respect. "You have done it, Elara." Its voice resonated with joy. "The heart bloom is rekindled. Its light will flow once more, nourishing the valley, reminding all who dwell there of the magic that surrounds them, if only they choose to see it." The leaf of Lumina, having fulfilled its purpose, pulsed one last, brilliant time. Then, with a soft, almost imperceptible shimmer, it dissolved into a myriad of tiny, glowing emerald particles that swirled around Elara for a moment, before gently settling into her skin, feeling like a warm, comforting embrace. It wasn't gone. It had become a part of her, a symbol of the light she now carried within. As Elara stepped out of the heartbloom chamber, the entire emerald wood canopy was bathed in a glorious golden-green light. The dryads who had gathered on the platforms greeted her with smiles of profound gratitude, their eyes shining with renewed hope. The luminous fungi pulsed brighter, the iridescent sprites danced with joyful abandon, and the very air seemed to hum with renewed life. The spirit of the emerald wood gently guided her back to the edge of the canopy, where the crystalline staircase now wound downwards, glowing even more brightly than before. The journey down was filled with the cheerful chirping of awakened birds, the rustling of leaves that seemed to whisper thanks, and the gentle sighs of the ancient trees, now vibrant with the heartbloom's light. When she reached the shore of the whispering waters, the ethereal boat was waiting for her once more, shimmering with renewed brilliance. As she stepped aboard, the lake seemed to ripple with a joyous energy, its whispers now clear songs of celebration. The mist that rose from its surface was no longer testing, but playfully swirling, guiding her swiftly and smoothly across the expanse. The sun was setting as she reached the familiar shore of the valley. The sky was ablaze with hues of orange and purple, but now, beneath the vibrant colors, a soft golden-green light emanated from the emerald wood canopy, spreading across the valley like a comforting blanket. The entire landscape seemed to glow with a gentle inner radiance. The distant fireflies of Flickering Peak twinkled with an intensity she hadn't seen before, their lights dancing in perfect harmony with the heartbloom's renewed pulse. Elara walked back towards her village, her heart full. She wasn't just Elara anymore. She was Elara, who carried the light of Lumina within her, who had helped rekindle the heart of the valley. The adventure had changed her, making her realize the immense power of wonder, gratitude, and a brave, open heart. As she reached the edge of her village, she saw her home bathed in the soft golden light that now infused the entire valley. It looked more vibrant, more magical than ever before. She knew that the heartbloom's light would slowly awaken the hearts of the people, reminding them of the magic that had always been there, waiting to be seen. Elara slipped quietly into her small cottage. The world outside hummed with a newfound tranquility, a gentle magic that had been restored. She lay down in her bed, the soft glow from the leaf of Lumina, now a part of her, a warm, comforting presence. She closed her eyes, feeling the gentle pulse within her, the quiet joy in her heart. The valley was safe, the magic was strong, and she knew with a peaceful certainty that the greatest adventures often begin with the smallest of sparks and end with the brightest of lights. And with that beautiful thought, Elara drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep, dreams of emerald light and whispering waters dancing in her mind, knowing that the magic of the world and the magic within her would always shine brightly.